Welcome back. Concavities and Beyond, Part 2. I want to tackle a few of the really great questions that have been coming in. And really, every question is good. And I want to just make a note right here. I reply to all of you. And what I try to do is to extend our teaching session. So when I answer, it's not like, yes, no, I don't know. It's like, well, yeah, I think your logic is good, and here's why, and that's a good idea, and look at this. So I try to add more of a teaching session with each question that you people ask and bring forward. And thank you so much for doing that. So let's take a look at some of the questions that came in. This one was more or less a comment. This is a piece this is probably one of the biggest pieces I've ever found. And I was so excited when I found it, just like you. But what happened to the bit? Where'd it go? And I was all bummed out. Yeah, oh man. Well, as you get smarter, hopefully as we grow older, we get some answers to our questions. And this is jury's still out. I've talked to a lot of people, and I'm finding actually field walkers sometimes have more information than the academics do. I've easily found over 100 Silts in one county in north central Ohio. I have an opinion. It's just an opinion, but it's based on looking at a lot of stuff and talking to a lot of people. I think this might be either a preform Silt that they just worked it down to this point and then they stored it in the ground. Okay? The other possibility is that they left it this way because if they're transporting it from A to 225 miles away, they don't want to have a sharp blade and have it hit something and break because they can lose part of the bit. And that takes a lot of work to put this bit back. So I'm thinking preform or a storage possibility to, when we come back next year or later in the summer, put an edge on it. So let me give you an example. Some of my supporting reasons for that would be this Silt. And when you look at it, when I was little, I was cross-eyed, but surgically took care of that. We have not a cross-eyed Silt, but we have a Silt that a corner was broken off. And when I look at him sideways, I'm able to see the hunk that was actually missing as a result of this breakage. I'm going to turn him real slow so you can get a really good look at him here, and I can see right here all the extra work that they put in to try to get a new bit on it right here. Going to turn him around again, and this, you have one contour right here and then you have another. This is not a desired another. This is what they had to do to reclaim this. So if I put this in my my toolkit and I travel, which do you think is going to be more prone to break? And let's logically, a toolkit may have had their favorite 1 or 2 hammerstones in there, as well as maybe 1 or 2 or 3 blocks of flint that they needed to carry. This stuff, I know they wrapped it, but things happen, and what do you think the chances are of a blade or a bit getting broken? This one or this one? So there's a possibility with smaller Silts, and I have several that I've found that are just like this. Transport or just put in the ground until they really need them, and then they put the edge. It's a quandary, and it's a good quandary, and we don't have to have the answer. But certainly just the thought process is going to keep us guessing, and that's worthwhile. Another great question was, I get so excited, and I'm so glad you're with me, that sometimes I cruise right past things because it's very familiar to me, but it's new information for you. So I'm going to do my best to slow down, and don't hesitate to tell me to slow down if I need to. Someone said, what is the difference between a Silt and an adze? Then they said, we want to see it. Don't tell us, we want to see it. So I grabbed a Silt, and let's start with the Silt. These can be pretty much any size. They can be any color. This is that green color that I told you to pop out of the ground if you're in Ohio, especially north central or east central Ohio. Look at the bit. Pretty much the contour is even from both sides. Can you see that okay? Nicely sharpened, nice bit, just a few dings. These may be plow dings. but very nicely, very evenly polished on both sides. Silt. Silts can be rounded on the end, they can be pointed on the end, they can be squared on the end. And there's a lot of academic discussion on the squared ones being possibly Hopewell, the pointed round ones, which would be like this, are possibly Adena, and the others are probably archaic. And so let's take a look at this. Silt, evenly worked, adds, look at this, rounded. I'm going to flip him. Can you see the groove? It's very concave all along here. If you think of the adze in your garage, it's not shaped equally or the same on either side. Got it. And so adze, there it is. This little guy, I think, is in the process of becoming an adze, and I'll show you why. Look at your two edges, and from your angle you should be able to see them. This one is kind of convex. This one is beginning to get concave right here. I think this is moving toward an adze, and some of it can just be prolonged use that creates it, but this one is specifically made for a specific job right here. A lot of these you find, like for example, rarely do I find these in or near fire pits. When I looked at over 100 of these things getting ready for my program with you folks, I didn't see any that showed any results of having been heat treated or laying in or by a fire pit. So is that telling me they didn't use them the end of the day around a fire? Or maybe these were more a field tool and they laid them down in the field or by a tree when they were done using them. We don't know, but those are good things to think about. Now I brought a couple more silts in, I'm going to show you. There's a wide range of sizes, wide range of thicknesses, of colors, and the pecking on this is extensive. Well, what did they peck these with? Well, you know what? Hammerstones. Peck, 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 peck. And each impact crushes it and it brings the shape out of it. So they use their hammers not only on the silts, but they use them on axes, 3/4 or full grooved axes, to peck them and get them down to where they want them, and then they polish them. So this is another silt. We looked at the one that this one was totally buried when I found it. It was just a fleck showing like this, but color, shape, size, texture for you guys. Dig it out. This one is a sort of a close example of what might be considered a square silt. And supportive evidence, they were all Hopewell points that were found on this little knob where this thing came from. Can we say 100% it's a Hopewell silt? No, but it's got the right feathers, it's got the right walk, it's got webbed feet, and it sure as heck seems like it might be a duck. All right, and last one, adzes. You know, we looked at a hard stone granite adze, but looky here. Let's go back a few thousand years, and we have a flint adze. See how we have convex here? I'm going to flip him. Concave right there. Here's our flat surface going into our concave, convex, and this is a very specific design that they put on here. Best part of this is the heavy lateral grinding, which in my area usually typifies paleo. So adzes can be made out of flint, and they can be made out of various hard stone. Boy, we didn't get very far, but I thought it was really important that we clear this up for you. And finally, we had another fellow who was a little bit troubled, and he was talking about blades, and he mentioned blades and bladelets. They're all micro tools. Let me back you up to my Wikipedia, my archaeological dictionary. My brain defines micro tools as 1 inch or less, and that's their maximum length or maximum width. These are little guys. And so what I did, his comment, and it was his experience and his opinion, which is great, and I'm glad he shared it with me, is that all blades or bladelets are small. And I thought, well, we need to take a look at this, because what I've done, look at this blade. This was knocked off a very big core. This is a very big core, and it's possible that a blade like this came off a very large core. It's even got a flute running down it. This is a beautiful paleo blade. It's, for the most part, it's uniface and a treasure in anybody's collection. And you can see it's got some retouch, cleanup work done around the side. So basically, you know this. When it's first struck, it's razor blade, but after it dulls, they resharpen. And this has been resharpened and resharpened and resharpened. Beautiful blade. Here's a platform. This came off the platform. It's ground where they set it up to knock it off. Classical paleo. And a real quick sweep. Here are some little tiny quote-unquote bladelets. This came off a pure Hopewell site in central Ohio, Licking County, and they're thin, they're narrow, and they can be very short, they can be very long. Over here, a little bit bigger, a little bit wider, looking like, more than likely, these are archaic. These may be late woodland. These are late woodland. And over here you can see that blades can also be really wide as well as long. I think the archaeological rule of thumb is to have a blade, it's got to be twice the length of the width or 3 times the length of the width. Most of those fit that, but if you look at this piece right here, it looks like it's snapped off. Well, it's been repaired, but it would have been much longer. So when you do that initial 3-to-1 or 2-to-1, it would be if the entire piece were held together. So we're looking at the bladelets to try to help you out a little bit. I brought a giant paleo core in, and let's just sweep the cores real quick before we wrap it up today, because there were questions on the cores. And Bob Converse, in his book for Ohio Flint Types, he shows the Dina Hopewell cores, but that's not all of them. These are paleo, 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 certainly paleo. Don't know about this one. This is really an interesting, almost like almost like a preform that's just been reduced down like that. Definitely a core, an older type core. Look at this one. Absolutely the opposite of this. This has many, these look like flake removals. But when you study it, you'll find that these weren't accidental. These were actually driven flakes. This is probably one of the highest quality flints coming out of Coshocton County, Ohio. And these were actually flake knives, not blades, flake knives coming off of this guy. They can be very large. Look at these. They can be very small. These came off of late woodland sites. These are whole cores. And I would put those probably in what we call the expended category. That means they threw them away. And that's why we find most cores. They threw them away. They were done with them. These were used down to the point where they could not get any more blades off of them. So they can be from very little all the way up to very large. You can have some cores where they only knocked 1 or 2 blades off. That's it. Cortex, 1 or 2 blades. Look at this one. Cortex. 1, 2, 3 blades. That's all they took off of it. That's all they needed. Or at that moment, that's all they needed, and they never came back and took more. And then this is our typically Ohio Hopewell core, where you get these long, narrow, very, very thin flakes. And that raises a lot of questions. And I love what some of the people are saying. They think that these Hopewell, they're sort of the same time period as the Aztecs. And the Hopewell people may have been a more blood-driven society than we realize. May have been cutting their skin to make tattoos. We don't know that at this point. It's all conjecture, but some of it seems really logical. So I did my best to tackle a few of your questions and keep them rolling. And I want you to have a lot of fun. I want you to be safe. Most of all, I want you to have permission when you get out in the fields. We're losing fields in my area where I hunt because people are coming in, simply jumping in, and, well, there's no sign that says I can't hunt flint. That doesn't work that way. All land belongs to somebody, and you are violating the law if you go into someone's land without permission. And bigger than you might be all the other people who got permission, and they're going to lose their sight because you went in there without permission. So just a little admonishment there. You know I love you because you've been following my videos. But get the permission, take the time. And once you get permission, you've got a fabulous field over the years to hunt. Thank you for Beyond Concavities Part 2, and we'll see you later.